Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ryal Thomas. This evening topic is titled The Impact of Dwelling. And I'm going to jump right into this. We only have 30 minutes, so I'm going to try to get into this where that we all understand exactly the impact of dwelling on certain things. Also has a domino effect on other things in our life. It also has a domino effect on our attitude, has a domino effect on our personality. It has a domino effect on how we treat individuals by just simply dwelling on things. And sometimes dwelling on things can teach you a lot. And sometimes dwelling on things can hinder you from being and doing all that you need to be and all that you need to do. Because whether you're dwelling on something that's positive or whether you're dwelling on something, that's negative, usually dwelling on something that's positive brings about a smile on your face. And you're thinking about maybe the good times you had, years ago, or the good times you've had, maybe on a dinner date or just out in public, maybe downtown on Fridays after 5, and you dwell on that. You talk to your friends and you say, hey, I had a grand old time. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing when you're dwelling on something that's positive, dwelling on something that brings a smile, that puts a smile on your face, and it puts a lot of joy and happiness in your heart. So that's just one aspect of dwelling on something that happens to be positive. But I want to speak on without excusing the fact that dwelling on something that's positive is a good thing, but dwelling on something that's negative. Sometimes we all have a tendency to look back on things and think to ourselves, I could have done that differently. I could have made a better choice. Or why did I take this job? I didn't know it was going to cause this much stress. Or why did I get involved with this individual? Now, let me break that down for you. When you are dwelling, or maybe I should say because I do not exclude myself from this, because we all are human and we all go back and forth and up and down with our attitude and our personality. That's just what humans, we happen to do that. But what we run into when we're dwelling on something that happens to bring about ill feelings, that happens to bring about guilt or bring about pain in our spirit, that's where it gets complicated. Because when that happens, when you're dwelling on something that's negative, you have to understand that it puts you in a frame of mind that someone may walk into your life that may remind you of something that you have been dwelling on. And for no reason, you start to give them an attitude. They have no idea what you're thinking about or what you're feeling, but you start to put that energy off on them as if they were the ones that have brought about this condition. And it's not the individual that you may be talking to or in a conversation with about anything. It just could be the fact that you're constantly dwelling on a negative memory, a memory that may keep you in a place where you cannot go any further. Do you understand when you're in a frame of mind where you are dwelling on something, it doesn't allow you to keep it moving. It doesn't allow you to move freely with your thoughts. It doesn't allow you to do the things that are expected of you from you because that negative thought you're dwelling on, why did I say that? Or why did I do that? Maybe I should have let it go. Or why didn't I let it go? Now I'm in this position because of me, because of my thoughts, because of the way I handled it. See, you have to have a relationship with your past. You have to know when to let go of things that keep you stationary mentally. You have to be able to let go of that. If you want the best out of your life, when you find yourself in a position where you feel like you could have done more, you could have said more, take it as a learning experience. Do not necessarily give up on yourself. Do not necessarily give up on your dreams. Because see, the main thing that we need to do when we're trying to succeed, when we're trying to move forward, is we need to move forward with our thoughts. So what? I made a bad decision. So what? Things didn't go right this time. So what? The relationship is not the right relationship. Realize it and do something about it. You do not need to sit there. We should not sit there and constantly drop our head and make ourselves feel guilty about what we have just said and what we have just done. Realize that, hey, that was a bad time in my life. That was a time that I didn't truly or really understand what was actually going on. You can't sit there and bring the past back. You can only look at the past as a learning experience. That's what you can do. And knowing that it's a learning experience, you do better. You do better next time. So the next time when you see the red flags, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's on a job with your supervisor, or whether you just purchased a car and the car breaks down after a week because you didn't have a mechanic check it out, you don't need to stay focused on that. And don't let your anger build up to the point where you go home unhappy, or where you're trying to make something work because you didn't see all the red flags that you need to see in order to make, I should say, a realistic decision about your involvements and whatever those involvements were. Dwelling on things that does not put you in a situation mentally or physically where you can get over it. Dwelling. That's what we're talking about today. And I ask myself, and I ask you all out there to look back on some things, and if they're constantly keeping you in a frame of mind where you just can't forgive yourself, where you just can't get over it, just look at it and say, hey, that was then. This is now. I have to reinvent myself. I have to become what I see myself becoming. And if that means I need to reinvent myself, I need to start looking at things differently, I need to start doing things differently, I need to start talking differently, I need to start being around people that have a certain or similar frame of mind, that frame of mind is moving forward. In my last show, I talked about someone that mentioned to me about keep it moving. And that's something that I'm going to be using right often, because that's just what we have to do. Because none of us are perfect. But I want you all to see the impact of dwelling on something, because it's not going to help you. It's not going to make you feel like you're recovering over something. And like I said, you cannot get rid of the past. Anyone can recover, but it takes you longer to recover if you constantly keep worrying about it. It's like a sore on you. You're constantly scratching it. If you would just leave it alone and let it heal and let the scab develop, it has to go through a process. So when we make these mistakes and we find ourselves dwelling on it, sometimes it may be hard to do. I'm talking to the choir right now. It may be hard to do, because it's funny how we sometimes can be our worst enemy. We can be our worst critic, because you don't look at yourself as doing or saying something like that. You may think to yourself, man, I was stupid. Why did I do this? Why did I take on this job when I knew then that I wasn't really capable of doing the job? I'm not really suitable for that position, and with that thought alone, you don't even give it your best. You don't even give it your best, because you've already told yourself that you're not capable of doing it. So next time, look into what the job position offers. Look at that. Think about the job long term. Is it going to make you happy? Are you going to be able to retire from this job? Is it going to allow you to have the freedom that you want down the road? Ask these questions to your supervisor. Ask these questions to your manager, or just ask these questions in general, so you will know what to expect. And if you know what to expect, then you know what to expect. Then you know how to move forward with this job. And the same thing in a relationship. Look at what you're getting involved in. Look at who you're getting involved in. Because you don't want to give a part of yourself, and you give a lot. You give a lot of you, but you see little red flags and you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe things will change. And the deeper you get involved in something and the outcome is not what you expected, see, you're going to dwell on it. Later on down the road, you're going to be dwelling on it. So when you see these signs that are not suitable for your lifestyle and not suitable for you to continue in a positive way, sometimes it's just best to jump ship. And when you do jump ship with decency. Jump ship with talking to your supervisor, talking to your manager, letting him or her know, that this was not really the position that you thought you were getting involved in. Talk to them. Let them know your frame of mind. Because see, letting a person know how you feel, how you think, that means you don't have to dwell on it too much, because you've passed that on. Now you feel good about letting someone know what you are expecting out of them. And the same thing, again, I go to it, and I go to relationships a lot, because when you're spending quality time with someone, you must remember, we only have one shot. One shot. And I'm not saying that mistakes are not going to be made. And I'm not saying that you're going to find a perfect person out there. Well, I'm not that out there, because everyone has problems. We all have problems in relationship when you're dealing with different personalities, different emotions, different responsibilities. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Who's expected to do this? Who's expected to do that? See, that's all part of it. But if you let people know up front what your likes and dislikes are, it stops a lot of confusion. It stops a lot of confusion, because believe me, if there is, and hopefully there's not, but if there is a situation where you have to, excuse me, leave your employment, or you have to leave a relationship, you want to leave on good terms. See, you want to leave with positive, strong character. That's what you want to do. Because see, the more stuff that we put on our plate mentally, the more stuff that we have to get off. You'd be surprised about the power of the mind, the power of emotions, the power that you have within yourself to bring about change within yourself. Reinvent yourself. Reinvent your thoughts. Reinvent how you approach things. Go over some things in your mind before you decide to say or do something that you may regret in the future. See, it's all about control. You have to have a different relationship with your thoughts. You just can't think about it and do it. No. We are way more intelligent than that. You just can't have a thought and say, well, let me jump to it. Let me just handle it. Or let me do this. No. Look at it realistically and say and think to yourself, okay, is this a good fit for me? Now let me think about what's being offered here. Is this a good fit for me? And don't trick yourself. Don't fool yourself in believing or trying to make it to the point where you say, I'm going to give it a couple of weeks, or I'm going to give it a couple of months. Nothing wrong with that. But you, in the process of doing that, you have to be observant. You have to observe things. You have to observe who you're spending your time with, who you choose to be a friend, who you choose to hang around with at your job. Because all of these are important factors as to where and what and how you're going to get along in your place of employment, in your place in a relationship. Because you want to be, believe me when I say this, you want to be around individuals that can properly back you up. You want to have strong, positive people in your life. When you go to them, when you talk to them, and things of such, you want people to be able to give you constructive criticism on what you may or may not be doing. And when you're hanging around individuals who can properly back you up, they are not just giving you advice because this is the advice you need to hear. This is the advice you want to hear. No, no. Sometimes you just need someone just to be real with you. Just to be real. And sometimes you may think, well, this person is just jealous because I'm doing this or because I'm seeing this individual. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. It's your life. It's what you want to do. And that's why I say make a decision based on the reality of what's around you, based on the reality of who you're getting involved with. Let's forget about the rumors. Let's forget about the rumors about the job. Let's forget about the rumors about your significant other. Let's deal with it individually as a person. And if you see the flags, then that's you seeing them. That's you seeing them. Because believe me, again, you do not, mistakes are going to be made, but you do not want to get into a situation, regardless of what the situation is, and say to yourself, I knew it. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have taken on this job, or I shouldn't have got involved with that individual. You know, and there's nothing wrong with believing in people, and there's nothing wrong with believing in change. But sometimes when you see these red flags, whether in any situation that you're going through, in any situations that you are going through, you need to act accordingly. You know, personally speaking, you know, I've been on many jobs, you know, and throughout the years that I have been, you know, working, where I have felt, why did I take on this responsibility? Why? So now I start to dwell on the fact that, why didn't I look at this a little bit more carefully? Why didn't I do that? Why? And you start to dwell on it. Yeah, me too. You start to dwell on it and think to yourself, man, I should have looked at this. Now I have to make this good. Now I have to make it good. So now I have put myself in a situation where I'm creating stress for myself because I didn't look into it. I didn't see the red flags, you know, and that's what I'm asking all of you all to do, including myself. Like I said, you know, when I do these talk shows and everything, you know, I'm not perfect. No way, no shape and form. I'm just not perfect. You know, I say these things because these talks actually help me believe in myself. It actually makes me feel good. But if I feel this way, I know someone else out there is feeling that way as well. So to know me is actually to know you, because we all share emotions. We all share a certain personality. It may be different, but we all share feelings towards ourselves. You know, we always think about ourselves, you know, can I do more? Should I do more? Or what can I do today? Or what's going to happen today? Or what happened yesterday? You know, you dwell on this, you dwell on that. But I'm telling you, if you're dwelling on something negative that has happened in the past, you know, try your best to let it go, because it affects your personality. It affects your character. Try to let it go, because dwelling on something negative is not going to get you paid. And when I say that, get you paid mentally, physically, and monetarily as well. It's just not helping you to just sit there and constantly be looking over and asking someone who happens to be dwelling on something, you know, what's wrong with you? I'm just sitting over here thinking about something. You can't even have a conversation with the person because they're thinking about something in the past that's irrelevant to what you guys are trying to do presently. You can't do that. You can't dwell on that. And by the same token, just because something negative has happened to you, that doesn't mean something positive is not on the way for you. That doesn't mean that. So, because when you're learning about something or feeling something negative, 9 times out of 10, because of the corrections that you have made, something positive is going to happen. Because you've just moved that negativity off of your plate. And when you move that negativity off of your plate with the mentality of learning what has happened, you're definitely going to approach things differently. And when you approach things differently, after you reinvent your thoughts, reinvent things about yourself, you're not going to let that come into play again. You're not going to do that because you've learned to stack the blocks up correctly. You know, you've learned to put the proper pegs in the proper hole. So therefore, something positive has to come after dwelling on something negatively and then realizing where the mistake was, or where the mistakes were, I should say. You cannot help but move into a positive frame of mind, knowing that you have learned from the past. So keep that in mind in any endeavor that you happen to get involved in, because it's nothing like hanging around positive people. It's a great feeling to be around positive people. It's an excellent feeling to feel the love, to feel the support. Just to be around them is a reflection of how you are presently feeling. They give off a good glow, a good source of energy, as opposed to reminding you of what happened 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago. Be around people that's going to uplift your spirit that lies within inside of you. So my message today is, dwell on the things that keep a smile and put a smile on your face, but the things that slow you down and hinder you, just let it slip on by and move forward with your life. I want to thank you all for tuning in. This is the Ryal Thomas Show. If you have any questions or any concerns, please feel free to give me a call. The number is on the bottom of the show. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you.